Hi again, and welcome to the next exercise in the We Can Stop Being Abusive mini course. We just talked about the fighting dog parable, and I hope you had a chance to let that land and maybe journal or reflect on how you can see yourself within that story. This video is going to be about feelings. This is a big topic that I want to deepen just a little bit so that you can feel like you have tools and something to do with the feelings part of the equation. When we are abusive, clearly we have something going on with our feelings. And a simple way to understand it is that we are actually flooded with feelings. So we're overwhelmed. We feel like we've been eclipsed by our feelings. Our feelings are swamping us. We aren't able to be the driver of our own feelings. We are at the whim of our feelings. Our feelings are the boss of us. So when we're too full like that and we're flooded already, that's a whole nother ball game. We are already taken out of being able to be very proactive. And that we're going to address that in the next section when we talk about what to do when you're in the middle of an outburst or a meltdown. When it comes to prevention in the feelings realm, what I would like you to do is to really earnestly apply yourself to expressing your feelings in healthy ways, proactively. So knowing that you're someone who sometimes has these flooded, overwhelmed emotional outbursts, we want to siphon off and be preventative about that flooding. And the way we do that is we process our emotions and express our emotions when we, quote, don't need to, when nothing seems like it's happening. So we do it before we get upset. We do it before we feel irritated or annoyed or starting to feel angry. It seems counterintuitive, but I know that because I was very emotional in my angry outbursts, I actually thought that I knew my emotions. I thought I was really in touch with my emotions. Well, I was, but not in a productive and healthy way. The feelings had me instead of me having emotions. So, two thoughts about emotions that I want to offer you. Again, these are mental constructs that I think can really help you bridge from your mind into the rest of your body and into your heart. The first is something I like to call an emotional pH. Do you know pH? When we were kids, we had fish, and every once in a while we had to test the acidity level of the fish water. And there was little pieces of paper that you dipped into the fish water, and then you lined it up with the acidity chart. I share that because it was very useful for me personally to think about my emotional pH. Wake up in the morning, do a check internally. Where are my emotions today? Am I off the charts already, waking up with an acidic emotional pH? Oh, I just had a bad conversation with someone at work. I can feel my emotional pH has gone up. The reason this is an interesting tool is then you get to ask yourself, what would it take to lower my emotional pH, to take the acidity out of the fish water? After a while, you will start to learn when you are becoming high in your emotional pH, and you'll also learn how to lower your emotional pH. So that's the emotional pH concept. And the other concept is a very simple one. It's the idea that inside the landscape of your emotions, maybe there's a lake or a body of water. I like to use a lake. So it's big and there's a lot of water in it, but it is contained. That lake for me was a great way to think of where I was storing my emotions. I was kind of burying them in the lake, and the lake was getting more and more full of emotion until on certain days it would splash right out in a dangerous outburst. The lake sometimes bubbles. The lake sometimes is perfectly calm. And on other days, the lake can be very angry and, spew waves. So one or the other of these concepts probably speaks to you more. Which one is it? If you like both, that's awesome as well. But which one will you use to calibrate and assess your own emotional state? That's a question I hope you'll answer. And then going forward from there, I want to also ask you to do a little bit of an exercise with me in this video. Let's actually get into it. We've talked about concepts. Now let's actually get into it a little bit. The simple answer to what to do when we're preventing abusive behavior is to find healthy ways to express your emotions. What does that mean? Well, one of my favorites is to go for a very mad walk. You've probably seen speed walkers. They look kind of, they're walking, but they're quite light on their feet. Similar to that, I like to go out and just give myself, even for a block. Because believe me, if you're doing the mad walk really mad, you're not going to be able to do it for very far. So just get out there, stomp your feet, let your emotions be in every step. That's one example of expressing your emotions preventatively. Other examples, you can probably think of some. I also like to color with a big crayon, like a big red or black crayon, and just like really go to town expressing my emotions through that coloring exercise. Sometimes listening to really loud music is also very helpful. Loud punk rock or heavy metal or loud drumming videos. Those might be excellent ways to help you with an external cue to feel and process the emotion inside you. As you do that, your emotional pH will go down. The lake will stop simmering quite as much. And the next time you are facing a trigger or an annoying situation, you'll be starting from a less activated place. That's prevention. That's healthy emotional processing to keep you from being abusive. Again, there are tools that we'll share with you, concepts we'll share with you about what to do when you're already in that abusive moment. This is about not getting there in the first place. Finally, in this feelings video, I'd like to do a bit of a visualization exercise. This one might be familiar to you or it might be new, so just play along and see if it does anything for you. If it does, then you'll have another wonderful tool to help you process emotion in a preventative way. And if it doesn't work for you, then totally skip it. That's why we're giving you a variety of things. So once again, you can close your eyes if you wish. Totally fine if not. I can't actually see you, so I won't know. And just take a couple of breaths to center yourself. Notice the temperature of the room. Notice whether your shoulders are tense. If you're sitting on something, can you feel how it feels? Can you notice a color or the light or the darkness in the spot you're sitting? And just for a moment, physically presence yourself. And now when you're ready, in your imagination, I would like for you to picture a screen. It can be like a TV screen if you like, or a movie screen. And in a moment, I'm going to ask you to visualize something on that screen. I'd really love for you to welcome whatever it is on that screen. There's no getting it right or wrong. You might be surprised what you see, and that's totally great. So looking at that screen gently with your eyes, taking another breath, feeling into your body, I'd like to ask you to bring up on your screen an image of anything that comes up. So it might be a shape or a color, it might be a photograph, it might be a place, a thing, an animal. A lot of times it's a shape or color, but just bring up what comes up when I say, let's invite an upset emotion onto the screen. Hey, upset emotion, I would love to see you on my screen. Give it a chance and see what shows up. Take some patient breaths. If you don't see anything, that's okay. You might not see anything. You might see something small. And just curiously, if you do see something, check it out. What color is it? What shape is it? What is it doing on the screen? Is it covering the whole thing? Something else? Whatever it is that you see, this physical representation, this visual representation of an upset emotion in you, let's greet it. Let's have you say just a simple hello and welcome, and that you're glad to see it. So, whatever it is you're seeing, in your own words, hey, interesting to meet you here on this screen. I see you. I see your shape and color. I see you doing what you're doing on the screen. I guess I'm glad to meet you. This is interesting to see you, this upset emotion. And when you've done that, notice if the shape or image changes. Does it move? Does it acknowledge you? Does it not do anything? And from here, I want to invite you to have just a very brief conversation with it. I'll add some notes below the video for possible conversations you can have. But for right now, all I want for you is to acknowledge it and start to relate to it. Your emotions are not you. So putting them on the screen helps you to see them as separate from you. And by putting them on the screen, you also can more easily imagine having a relationship with your emotions. A relationship where you get to have a conversation and figure out what to do. So you might say, good to meet you. I'm curious if you have anything you'd like to say to me. And then just listen. You might say, it's been pretty hard out here with all the emotion and fighting and conflict. I'm not sure what to do. I'm struggling. I would like to be able to express my emotions in a different way. What do you think? You can ask the shape, the image on the screen. You might hear words reply, or you might just get quiet. You might get feelings. You might have an intuition. So just ask yourself, if you were to acknowledge and ask your emotion on the screen, if it had anything to say to you, what would that be? And in a minute, when we close up this visualization, I'll invite you to take a moment to reflect and write down some of your observations. So in this moment, to close up the meditation, the visualization, please thank your emotion for showing up. Thank this upset emotion for showing up on the screen. Thanks for coming. Thanks for showing yourself. Thanks for the conversation. And then to tie it up, just see if you feel the pull to ask it if you can meet again and have further conversation. Something like, would it be okay if we meet again like this, where I invite you to come on to the screen in my mind and we talk? And see what it says. All right, that's the end of the visualization. It is definitely possible that that's something very new to you, in which case, bravo for playing along. Notice in your body if something feels a little different. Do you feel good, bad, indifferent? Was that interesting, helpful, not interesting, not helpful? If it was helpful, then make a note that this is a visualization that you can be doing at any time. Often, plain meditation that we get encouraged to do in the wider world, it's great, but it doesn't always get to the specific things that you're trying to get to as someone who's trying to stop being abusive. So this is a substitution. It's a possible substitution for you to do in place of or in addition to other meditation. The emotional visualization on screen. I hope you got something out of that little exercise and this video on some ways to think about feelings and emotions in a preventative way. Thanks for watching.